Great to see everybody. Thanks for having us. Really excited to be able to do this panel with James and Nataraj, and thank you to the entire KX team for having RBC here to walk you through a little bit about our story. I'll put this up here now. This is our current AI and digital mandate, where we were just elevated to the center of all of capital markets in the recent months. Before we get into this, I want to take a step back and just kind of walk you through our journey and storytell our story. And as we go through our story, it will become evident why KX, why NVIDIA, why the partnership. So if we start with, take you back in time to 2010, and KX has been with RBC along our entire journey, trusted partner, and a great amount of trust in financial services overall, but certainly with RBC. We've had the privilege at RBC to have the vision of Dave McKay, our CEO, our leader. He has the uncommon ability to see around corners. He started to invest in AI more than a decade ago. If we go a little further back, 2010, we invented Thor, a patented platform. We then built IEX, 9 months, our team. IEX is now the 4th largest exchange in the US. We did something similar in Canada. We built Equitas, turned into Neo. We sold that to the SIBO. We have experience in building platforms, we have experience with innovation, and we've enjoyed and appreciated the partner with KX through the entire journey. When we move into 2015, 2016, Dave founded RBC Borealis. That's Fotini. He hired Fotini. She came in and hired 100 and up to 140 machine learning experts, scientists, researchers into Borealis AI. Think about AI and digital within capital markets as the commercial arm that aligns with RBC Borealis. And in 2016 to 2018, a key milestone on our journey was reinforcement learning. People said you'd never be able to break the code in reinforcement learning and actually deliver for clients and drive commercial outcomes. And everything we do is through the lens of the client, solving client problems, delivering for clients, co-developing with partners like NVIDIA, like KX to make sure we deliver client solutions. In this instance, we had a partnership with Borealis where we invented Aiden, which was our reinforcement learning platform that we had beta tested with some of the most sophisticated investor clients in the world. Aiden and reinforcement learning and the learnings that we went through really informed our view on the next layer of AI. To go back to 2022, Eddie Ortiz gave us the hat tip of make sure you get up to speed quickly on the next layer of AI, Gen AI. It's going to be the game changer. It's going to be the 4th industrial revolution. And at that time, he was talking to us about maybe we should get involved and start talking with NVIDIA. This is way back. Key milestones. 2023, met with our CEO of Capital Markets. He said, why are you so excited about this new technology? We said, Derek, you love research. We spent a lot on our research business. Capital markets research was part of our mandate, 100 analysts, 1,450 names under coverage. Our investors appreciate great research. Really drives a lot of client and commercial value. So we went through, we said, Derek, okay, we cover 1,450 names right now. If we apply some of the Gen AI to the analyst process, we can scale company coverage without diminishing quality. So what do we need? I see the vision, so we just need your support. And Andre Mani, who leads AI engineering for us, we're off to the races with POCs. With research, as you all know, it's a beautiful place to learn. And again, with reinforcement learning learnings, you think AlphaGo, measurable boundaries with thousands of, tens of thousands of measurable permutations in between. When you think about research, 1,450 names, average analysts cover 15 names. We quantify how many hours a year the analyst spends on the phone with the investor client, with a corporate client. And I can rattle off every number imaginable. But the key part is there's also II investor rankings. They're now called XDEL rankings that really rate the analyst delivery to clients. So you had all the measurables. Started giving our analysts, certainly giving them time back, started to progress. That started to come to life. As we move forward, we said, okay, we really want to make this more robust. We want to upload thousands of pages of data. Accuracy is critical to us. Trust is critical to us. Predictability is critical to us. So as we started to succeed and started to drive some of the commercial outcomes, 2024 is when we first came together through Eddie with NVIDIA with KX. And if you think about KX in terms of infinite scale, the petabytes of data, billions of events, high accuracy. And then we think about NVIDIA, the amplification of compute and GPUs. We had something there where we wanted to scale up our AIDEN research quicker, and then we wanted to scale AIDEN to all 8,000 people in capital markets. And ultimately, we had a goal of scaling that out to all 100,000 people in the bank. So with our partnership, with our collaboration, fast forward, we then invented AIDEN Quick Takes, which has an earnings agent, has an SEC agent, 14 different agents that have taken a process that takes between 60 minutes and 2.5 hours. And I think the metric that we put on here and the metric we went public with is it's up to 60% faster to deliver earnings insights to clients. If you zoom out and not a public metric that we use, but kind of thinking about how to frame it, if you think about 60 minutes per now, we're up to 1,700 companies. That's 102,000 minutes. That's 141 12-hour workdays. And this process has gone from that amount of time to minutes with a human in the loop. Human in the loop is a very important philosophy for us. It's real human in the loop. If we think about how we've done a lot of this with NVIDIA and KX, and now you fast forward for AIDEN research, metrics. In Canada, we extended our II or Extel ranking. We went from having 17 teams ranked to 18. The next firm in Canada has 13 teams ranked. We picked up additional analyst rankings. In the US, we solidified our position at number 10. We actually went from 17 to 18 teams there. We picked up 6 new analyst rankings. These are really important measurables. And then in the past, I think you may have seen it, probably not, 2 months ago, for the first time ever, Euromoney ranked us as the #1 North American research bank. That was a big happening internally, and our CEO, Derek Nelder, was out talking about AI and digital and how that helped accelerate delivering high-quality insights to our clients to help drive commercial outcomes. If we think about the whole ecosystem here and where we're going and how we're scaling up, scaling out AIDEN, you can think about AIDEN for us as the RBC iPhone. We've enabled 8,000 people with a cutting-edge AI capability. We are moving into AIDEN Banker. AIDEN Banker is something that we had an opportunity to qualify to make a pitch to our CEO and group executive of the bank for funding to really go all in driving a front-to-bank AI-enabled investment bank. And our head of the investment bank, Matthew Stopnick, sponsored us. We did a presentation to the bank. That foreshadowed our CEO of Royal Bank coming out at Investor Day, proclaiming that we would realize up to $1 billion of benefits from AI. This was a number of months ago. It was a big happening in the marketplace, and we signed up for a reasonable amount of those benefits. So AI at RBC is real. It's making an impact. We're obsessed with the vision for the workflows. We are prioritizing industry leaders that we go deep with in terms of strategy. NVIDIA and KX being 2 firms that we are going all in trying to drive and scale these client and commercial outcomes. If we think about the other areas beyond trust, high accuracy, infinite scale, the dual database that we have with KX, the unifying time series and vector search in one platform, all benefits that are important to us to drive at scale robustness, as James will talk about, speed, accuracy, predictability, and the ambition that we have in enabling 8,000 people to deliver for clients and commercial outcomes is massive. So then maybe just picking up on from AIDEN Research to AIDEN Banker to AIDEN Sales to agent creation to scaling across capital markets, we wouldn't be able to do it without the strategic partnerships that we have. And with that, I think, James, it's a good kind of background of when we started working back in March of 24 and how we really were able to scale up and scale out.
Thanks, Bobby, for that fantastic intro. Before we really get started on the NVIDIA side of things, I wanted to take a second and just chat with the group and get a show of hands. So you guys are all traders. First off, actually, before that, I should introduce myself. I'm James Sutton. I'm a solutions architect at NVIDIA. I focus on FSI and financial services in Canada, which means that I support all of our banks, all of our trading firms in Canada, which obviously includes RBC. My background is in GenAI inference. I am not a trader, and I'm not a banker. And you'll probably notice this as a trend as we go forwards here. But before we get started, you guys are all traders. You guys probably are aware of NVIDIA as a stock ticker. Show of hands, who is tracking NVIDIA as a hardware company? Nobody. Okay, you guys are actually pretty advanced. Awesome. Okay. I mentioned this because NVIDIA actually, we of course started off as a hardware company, but our most valuable piece of technology that we've ever created is CUDA. And what did CUDA enable? Well, back in 2012, there was a bunch of researchers out of University of Toronto that are trying to figure out how to accelerate neural networks. This was a brand new piece of technology that they were looking to develop, working with. And they reached out to us, to NVIDIA, to see if there's some way that we could help accelerate their workloads. And of course, we looked at this. We said, okay, GPUs, they have shader cores. They're used for doing a lot of parallel processing, parallel compute. And we came up with this concept called CUDA. And the actual author of that is Ian Buck, who's one of the EVPs at NVIDIA. What a surprise. But that was the starting point of our software journey and our focus on software. At NVIDIA, you might think that we're a hardware company and we build lots of hardware, and hardware is, of course, how we make money. But we make software to power all of these possibilities. All of these things that are happening right now and happening in the future are not powered not only by the actual hardware that we built, but also very intrinsically by the software and the software stack we make. So what does that mean when I say software stack? Well, we of course are working at the very low level on GPUs and focusing on things like CUDA and focusing on things like even CUDA Nano, the CUDA neural network libraries. But these are all building blocks that build on top of each other to be able to provide higher and higher level capabilities for enterprise clients and businesses. One of the things that we've heard many times is CUDA is a fantastic library. It's very functional, it's very capable, but there's a lot of teams and a lot of organizations that might not have CUDA engineers. They might not be able to foresee and understand how they can map the universe that they're inhabiting today, maybe in financial services, might be in healthcare, might be somewhere in physical AI, and being able to map that and translate those parallel software that can be parallelized on GPUs and bring that into some component of their software stack. So that's where we actually build on top and not only just accelerate the actual low-level infrastructure, but we actually have acceleration libraries and SDKs. Most of you are probably using them today. Maybe you're not even aware of the fact that the software you're running on is actually using it. KX is a fantastic example of one that is leveraging extensive amounts of our NVIDIA accelerated libraries. But the FSI from an NVIDIA perspective is not something that's new to us. We've been thinking about how we can accelerate the FSI and the financial services industry for a very long time. Why? Because you guys actually use lots of GPUs. Trading firms and trading desks actually use a substantial number of GPUs to be able to make sure that you can make money. But not only that, and this is a really important thing, is when you guys make money by leveraging GPUs, that's something that you can actually go and tell your infrastructure team and say, hey, you know what, we've got a very clear cause-effect relationship, which allows for further and further acceleration, which allows for further and further growth of your own P&L, and allows for continued growth. But there's other parts of the bank and the banking organization that is actually things that we're also working to accelerate. For example, we're bringing in not only just generative AI to trading firms, but also actually to banks. And there's actually a lot of value in the relationship. So again, just as one last slide, just talking about the NVIDIA kind of ecosystem. This is what we call the building blocks for agentic AI, which is powered by NVIDIA AI Enterprise. So a lot of solutions nowadays are actually built at some level that utilize some of these tools. We have, of course, the AI infrastructure, which is the building block that everything is built on top of. But then we also actually expose things like NIMs, which are NVIDIA containers that contain LLMs or other types of generative AI models that are hyper-tuned and specialized for your use case that you can get ready and deploy today. But then on top of that, we have the actual entire NVIDIA NeMo platform, which is designed for actually not only just taking those LLMs as they are, but allowing you to actually create data flywheels to optimize those models in real time using your actual data and ensuring that your models actually behave correctly in production. So we really have been thinking about this for a long time to think about how enterprises can actually get value out of this. But then the final piece, this is my example, this is when I'm talking about building blocks, I like to kind of use this as an example of saying Lego. If you want to actually go to the store and buy Lego, you don't just buy Lego. You buy something that looks like something that's close to what you want. That's where the AI blueprints come in. They're the higher level above everything else. They are the top level solution that you can incorporate into your business with some modifications, either from your own organization or an SI, to be able to actually augment your entire organization. So for example, things like the research assistant, customer service, or for example, what we're going to talk about today, a KX NVIDIA blueprint that we actually built together. So before I talk about what's on this slide, I want to talk a little bit about how NVIDIA goes to market, because we do things a little bit differently. We don't typically have a big sales team. I might be on what's called the field team or the sales organization, but we don't really focus on sales. What we focus on is enablement. We focus on accelerating our partners. There's no KPIs that we track, at least on the SA side of the organization, for how many GPUs we sell or how many software licenses we sell. The only KPIs that we have are our clients and our teams that we're working with. Do they see us as technical advisors that they can rely upon to be able to get the guidance that they need to be able to build the solutions that they need to build? And that was one of our objectives with RBC and other accounts in Canada, and we've achieved that. But what that means is that when the RBC team comes along and asks us, hey James, can you help us build this infrastructure? We want to augment Aiden. We want to augment Aiden research. We have this really great vision. Can you help us build this? A thing that's really important is for us to understand our clients' needs and to protect our client and make sure that we're not wasting their time. So for full disclosure, when we started this project, I wasn't actually aware of KX. That might be a faux pas. But I really appreciate our IBD team, our industry business development team, and our DevRels for suggesting and saying, hey, there's a piece of the puzzle that might be missing. So talking about what we were actually building with the Aiden Banker workflow, this pipeline is showcasing how we can pull SEC filing documents from Edgar, do a series of analysis on that to be able to understand and pull that into a vector database, and then generate a report based on if this document, this 10K or 10Q document, contained material impacts on price. And then based off of that, actually report that to your portfolio manager. So this was the request from the RBC team. They came to us and they said, James, can you help us build this? And one of the things that was very glaring right at the get-go was to say, okay, yes, we can definitely help you from a generative AI architectural perspective, but there's a piece of the puzzle missing here. At least one, might be two. That piece of the puzzle was backtesting. With just general standard vector databases like Milvus or Pinecone, there is no real concept or knowledge system of time series. There's no time that's encoded into those databases, which means that if you want to actually go and backtest, or to not only just backtest, but to actually go back and validate previous historical information, there's not an easy way to do that. You would actually have to encode that information yourself, or you potentially might even actually have to create your own vector database. Conveniently, at this time, KX was building out KDB AI, which is, of course, an unstructured time series vector database. So we went out and approached the KX team and said, hey, I think there's a really interesting opportunity for us to collaborate on this and work on this project together. The KX team not only delivered, but they over-delivered. Not only did they provide the building blocks, that vector database, but the actual KX team that we collaborated with, thank you very much, Michael and Bruno, actually built out an entire RAG pipeline, but not only just RAG, but an actual tool calling pipeline that was able to ingest, at the time, millions of SEC filing documents, be able to ingest the latest SEC filing document, and then not only just to determine if that information contains material impacts, but because of the close integration between KDB and KDB AI and the actual KX SDKs, we were able to correlate that information with actual time series trade signals, and with the SDKs, be able to utilize those as tools as deployed MCP servers. So we asked for one thing, and they over-delivered. They built essentially almost the entire pipeline, which from an NVIDIA perspective is fantastic. That's one of the most important things for us to do when we're working with ISV partners, is to accelerate them and make sure that they're able to use the most advanced generative AI technologies and techniques as possible, and to be able to help them along their journey and through that adoption. KX, by helping us actually build this out, and actually, in the end, actually building out the blueprint that we actually are actually in the process of planning to actually deploy and make public, we were actually, that was a fantastic relationship. That was a fantastic start. So with that, talking more about KX, I want to switch over to Nataraj to be able to talk about the rest of our relationship and what's coming in the future.